Hello, good day. I was about to say good evening, but it's 9 o'clock here in Hawaii, 9 o'clock in the morning. No, 10 o'clock. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Gunnerstown Pub Season 2. And I'm joined here tonight by Merv Dinnan. Merv, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good to have you back. And Mike MacDonald, who's joining us from the States. So we're pretty spread around the globe right now. Mike, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well.
Good. Well, it's good to have you back, and I trust that you've had a good break away and already in rearing for this new season. Right. Excited? Are you excited yet? Yeah. So, goodness, there's quite a lot to cover, having not been around for a while. But I think I'd like to just start with a very quick look back on our opening game, which we lost to newcomers Brentford last weekend. Merv, do you want to give us a quick, just some quick fire thoughts on that game? We won't dwell on it too much because there's still a lot to cover.
I was there.
Shame.
Because of a ticket. I know. Because of a ticket mix-up, I wasn't actually with the Arsenal fans. I was a couple of blocks along with Brentford fans who were pinching themselves all the way through. They did not expect it. It's lacking, I don't know, energy. It seemed for long periods that we should have this game. We just, all we need to do is score. And we had a lot of chances, as we know, something like 22 goal attempts, which is more than we had, I think, in any game towards the end last season. And, when kind of Saka came on, it stepped up a gear. To me, it just felt over choreographed. There was that image we've seen, a still that's been shared a lot of times on social media, where Granit Xhaka has the standard Arsenal ball kind of inside for Martinelli to run onto. We've seen it with Thierry Henry, we've seen it with Aubameyang, Sanchez. We've seen it over the years, that ball, but he doesn't. He checks and passes it out to Tierney to cross. And I think, given we had, I suppose, Balogun in for starting a Premier League game for the first time, I think the attack just didn't gel, and I think that there were too many moments when we could have been a bit more incisive. And I saw one of the highlight reels. I know we'll talk about signings and Ødegaard and stuff later, but just one or two of the highlight reels that were shown today on Twitter from towards the end of last season, and it was just so much more incisive. And I felt that the defence wasn't, Bernd Leno just he played like somebody that didn't want to be there.
Right.
And they sensed that. Brentford, I think, sensed that it was a new defence that hadn't played together and a goalkeeper who just didn't seem to be there.
Right. Mike, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was the defending was rusty. I'm going to be polite there because, we have a reputation for being a little mistake-ridden. But I guess I'll put it down to rustiness at the beginning of the season, hoping that some of those calamitous errors would not happen normally. But I just have to echo what Merv said, because this is going to be Arteta's downfall. I think as soon as we get into the Emirates and start playing teams like, I think, is it Norwich at home is our for next home game after the Chelsea, home game in a few weeks, the games that the Emirates expect us to win, and we start, or we will start and continue our robotic, predictable football. And if it doesn't produce, which, it did sometimes last year, then the crowd are going to rip them apart, because it's no fun to watch. It really isn't. And, football is becoming a coach's game, which I really don't like. And I'm a coach and don't like that. And I don't mind the coach teaching passing patterns. I teach passing patterns, but it seems at Arsenal that's the amount of control that Arteta has over the team. It seems like it's absolute. It seems like he wants to choreograph, the word Mervyn used again, everything. And so, I understand if you have brilliant ideas, and maybe some of Arteta's ideas are brilliant, I don't know, but then if you have better players, maybe you'll win these games. But it doesn't take a genius to figure out, if I'm coaching a team and, against Mervyn, and after about half an hour, Mervyn figures out what I'm doing when the ball's over here, and then what we do when the ball's over here, then he can just tell them at half time if he hasn't told them before the game, because he's probably watched me, right, on video. And he can tell the guys, when the ball is here, Arsenal do this. This is what they do. They don't do anything else. This is what they do. And we all can see this. And I think that, I think it's going to be similar to last season. We'll do fairly well in the bigger games when the other teams have the ball and we can counter, which I think is more our style based on the players we have. But the teams that are as good as us or weaker than us on paper, we're going to struggle, because I think that they're going to find us super predictable. And Arteta's going to have to find some humility, and somebody's going to have the balls to tell him that the passing patterns and predictability is fine to a certain extent if it's working, like getting Tierney open for 6 chances to cross. I guess that's good. But again, everybody knows what we're doing. And so it's just not hard to stop.
Right. I think hashtag predictable is probably, it's the curse of being an Arsenal fan over the last, 15 years. Because under Wenger, towards the end, it was hashtag predictable, the same errors, the same approach, despite the opposition. And that was kind of our downfall, and the same thing I got from this Brentford game was that the same pattern, the same mistakes that we were making, like passing to Xhaka through the middle. Like Leno can see that there's somebody on Xhaka, and he still did it, and he still got caught out. And it could have been 3 or 4. Actually, I think they hit the crossbar a couple of times. Just one lobbed over the net, and then they had a couple of others that, they could have put away. And yet, I never felt that we really. Despite the 22 attempts on target, I don't really feel like we had. Maybe there was 1.5 that looked like they might have gone in. So that was that predictability, like, getting it out wide is great if you've got somebody in the middle who's lethal and can put away a cross. But, in the preseason, Aubameyang, it might as well been playing with a rugby ball. It just seemed like the ball wouldn't go, in the direction that he'd header it, or, those predictable errors are, I think, just the thing that frustrates me the most is when you can see it in the first 5 or 10 minutes too, is those same patterns. And if we can see it, Mike, you're a coach, Merv and I, we're fans really. I wouldn't claim to be like a tactical expert or, but if we can see it, then, surely like the other team full of professional footballers, have seen it. And, there's no shock and awe, there's no Spanish Inquisition about us. We just seem to be stuck on rails, we're like a monorail team. We only go in one direction, and in that direction we don't even go that fast, to be honest. So we're not really even a monorail. Anyway, I think that's probably enough to say about Brentford. Except perhaps let's touch on this now, because it started around then. Obviously not having Aubameyang and Lacazette starting was a bit of shock to me. I've been out of touch, traveling, and then there were all sorts of rumors that kind of sprung up after that. Merv, do you want to touch on maybe how Aubameyang and Lacazette's absence affected us against Brentford, and any of the rumors and the stories, leading up into, where we are with them this week?
Yeah, the way it broke, it was like something slipped out on Twitter, a couple of people during the afternoon. So I met up with a couple of friends before the game, and one of them didn't even know. And I said, well, on Twitter, they're saying that neither of them are playing. And it was kind of, I think, interpreted as there's been a bust up, there's been a falling out. They're trying to sell them. But I suppose, thinking about it, to put Balogun and Martinelli in together, who've not started the league game together, something had happened. Now we're told it's COVID. I don't know why you can't say it's COVID. Other clubs have been out straight away. And now there were stuff about we tried to get the game postponed and things. But it was, I suppose, the way Arsenal fans are feeling about the club at the moment, the fact that there was almost a conspiracy kind of, they're not there, there's been a bust up. everybody immediately believed. It was a very believable scenario.
Mhm.
And you could just, I suppose, afterwards, playing the game back in my mind on the way home, I could imagine it being exactly the same. If Lacazette and Aubameyang were there, would still be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it was, I think it possibly unsettled them. And I mean, if it is true, we assume so, that they found out they had COVID on Friday, then we probably spent the week choreographing moves with them involved.
Right. Yeah, it didn't seem like to be honest, as much as I was shocked that they weren't playing, when I look back at the game, I didn't feel like that made much of a difference. I felt that Balogun and Martinelli, the way they're playing, the way Lacazette and Aubameyang are right now, neither of them are particularly lethal. I didn't feel like that we would have converted any of the chances that those two had. Instead, so it's this weird position where you're looking at these two key senior players, and you're thinking, well, they're not really impact players. Even this last season, it's not like you would call on them, from the bench to make a difference. They just haven't been able to do that. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't think that they would have made a whole lot of difference because they're not in form. And unfortunately, going back to the coach and the predictability of it, these patterns that we are repeating and the ones that we're actually getting success with, when the ball goes across to the left quickly and the left forward moves in, giving space for Tierney and getting the ball to Tierney, is that part's working. But why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? We're not a team that has any centre forwards in the whole club. Aubameyang, Lacazette, Balogun and Martinelli haven't had a chance to prove it yet, that are masters at putting the ball in the net from crosses. So I just don't understand what we're doing there. And it just, to me, it doesn't matter. And for me, I think Arsenal desperately need to sign a centre forward before the end of the window, because none of our centre forwards have even close to the full toolbox of giftings, to hold the ball up, to finish crosses, to win headers, to be more aggressive. So I know that Aubameyang historically has scored a lot of goals, but we don't play to his strengths. And I don't really understand what we're doing. So whether he played or not, I didn't feel that it would have impacted the score on that. But that's more on the coach to me, because I don't think he plays to the strengths of our forwards, who are all electrically fast. Three of them are, and outstanding on the from broken play and on the counter attack. So until he recognises that, or until we get a different centre forward, I think we just see the same thing.
Yeah. You're just talking about the senior players and the impact. I do remember thinking after Brentford that it was basically all of our senior players on the pitch that let us down again. It felt like it was Leno, Pepe, Xhaka, Bellerin. Bellerin was playing, right? I think.
No,
he didn't play. So there was another.
Chambers was,
That's right,
and then
Chambers.
and then they brought Tavares on as right back when they had three right backs on the bench.
Yes, but it was interesting because I thought that Sammy Lokonga had a great game.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious! I need to close this door. From being the quietest road in Hawaii, it's suddenly become like rush hour with trucks and stuff. I thought Lokonga had a great game. I thought he saw his body movement was great. Mikey will have appreciated the way he that he protects the ball and runs onto it and stuff. And the same with Tavares. I thought that they're comfortable with the ball. They were creative. I thought our youngsters did well. And from that point of view, as shocking obviously as losing to Brentford on the opening day is, last season I think we won our first 2 or 3 games, and look where that got us. You kind of just got to take it with a pinch of salt. And maybe that maybe Brentford is enough to kick us into gear for Chelsea and City, coming up. But let's have a quick chat about transfers that have happened, and transfers that are rumored to have happened. Mike, why don't you kick us off? So I believe that the ins that we have so far is Ben White, Sambi, Tavares, Tierney renewed, and I'm not sure because I've been pretty out of it, but Ramsdale, Odegaard, and Awar are kind of, hot topics right now. I don't know which ones of those are confirmed and which aren't. I mean, I've only seen rumours.
Yeah, we've signed Ramsdale and Odegaard. I think it hasn't been announced yet, but both of them have taken their medicals, and I think it'll be announced tonight or in the morning. They're saying that Ramsdale will probably be in the squad for Sunday, and Odegaard apparently needs a visa, so he probably won't be in the squad. I haven't heard that one. I've heard rumours, but nothing beyond. I doubt we were to get another creative player. I think surely to goodness, our next two priorities are striker and right back, rather than having a third creative player beyond Smith Rowe and Odegaard. But I mean, for me, the positive for this summer is that is the transfers and the age profile and the physical profile that we've gone for, that's a big plus for me, that we've finally signing athletes, younger players between 21 and 24 that have some resale value. They're not too young, they're not too old. We're putting them on wages that aren't, like Kolasinac, that aren't over 100,000 for players who are mediocre. So I see, the short term for Arsenal I'm worried about, to be honest with you, on the pitch, but the medium term with these signings, and to be honest with you, I think Arteta's strength, his greatest strength, is in the market for him identifying what's needed to play in the Premier League. This age profile, he's the coach, to his credit, that's done this and recognized this and signed a bunch of players that will be give Arsenal a great future. And then Odegaard, I think, is a fantastic signing with a huge high ceiling. And as long as we can get some unpredictability from him and get him to shoot a little more than he did last season when he's got the opportunity and not be so generous with the ball, I think we're onto a great thing there. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Tavares at right back thing isn't something we see more. I'm wondering if the club are going to sign a striker, leave the right back thing and play him as a right back, because he's two-footed, and people haven't been talking about that much, but he's a left back, but he's two-footed, and he might be the best option that we have on the right side. So I'm super excited about Ben White. I hear nothing but great things from everybody that's ever watched him, and Lokonga has got a great future. So I'm really excited about the medium term. I just hope in the short term that we can start getting some results and play some creative football as well as the robotic stuff. All good points.
I think it's encouraging that we, in a market that everybody knows is pretty static, and probably a lot of stuff is going to happen towards the end of the transfer window when when deals aren't done and players are available either, for low figures or on loan. I think there's going to be a lot of movements and stuff, or hope there is, because we're sitting on a lot of people. When I was looking at the squad before the podcast, I was looking at all those faces, and I was like, wait, they're still at Arsenal? It was just crazy. But Merv, just going back to the Odegaard thing, how do you think that affects somebody like Smith Rowe, who's just been given the number 10 shirt and is obviously like a rising star in the club, and there's a lot of confidence and faith being put in him. How does that work when he and Odegaard kind of seem to be tag teaming when they were both in the squad last season?
Well, they did play together a bit last season. I think that most of the analysis I've seen has Smith Rowe, I suppose, playing on the left. Some are looking at a 4-2-3-1 with the three being Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka. I don't know if all three youngsters would play in that way across the attacking midfield. With Odegaard, what I'm pleased about is I only have to think back game-wise a couple of games, and I think we were on the pod together that night, the Crystal Palace game, the penultimate game of last season, where we were ambling to a 1-1 draw in a game that we dominated for long parts and kind of working the ball out to Tierney over and over again. And like in the 90th minute, Odegaard had enough and took it wide, played a great ball in for Martinelli to attack, and we scored. to go 2-1 up, and then Pepe kind of decided not to turn back and knock it back to Cedric or Chambers or whatever, but run into the box and score. And I think he's got that ability. Now, clearly, we've still signed him, hopefully, if the rumours are. So Arteta's not held it against him, that he ignored the template to win the game. But I think he can do that. And I think that the Smith Rowe and Odegaard, I think, will dovetail nicely. I suppose the concerns are particularly with Partey not there in games he misses, is the physicality. I think Odegaard was good at winning the ball back, kind of, not making the obvious pass. But I think the physicality, particularly in that kind of the first half of the attacking third, if you like, where we could get pushed out of it, I think that's the important bit. I mean, Lokonga, I agree with you. I thought was great. He was one of the pluses last Friday, given it was his Premier League debut. And I feel there's a lot of promise there. Probably when Partey's there, we'll see more of Lokonga doing that. The stuff with his body moving away, kind of, opening up play. So yeah, I'm excited by the signings. They are all young. I agree with Mike. It's exactly the profile we want. And I've seen it mentioned in one or two places, such a nucleus of young players. I mean, if we add on to the ones we've signed, obviously Tierney, Saka, Smith Rowe, they're a squad that, should things not go well over the next 10, 11 games, and the board have to make a decision, that will attract a good coach.
Right. It's interesting. So you talk about the 4-2-3-1 with Saka, Odegaard, and Smith Rowe. That leaves a one up front to be fought over by Lacazette, Aubameyang, Balogun, and Nketiah, the new striker that Mike wants us to buy. That's a pretty competitive position. And if we got, Awar, as who would obviously fit in that three behind the, it seems like we probably would have to go to a 4-4-2, Mike, and maybe try and incorporate more creative players in that back row that front row of four, and let the 5 or 4 or 5 fight over those two spots in the front. What do you think? Is Arteta ready for a 4-4-2? Could he?
I doubt he would do that. He may try there's talk of a back three this weekend, try a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2. I think it just depends on what happens at the beginning of the season. I mean, I think he changed once or twice last season, but Arsenal just need a physical striker, like you guys have said. They have strikers. We have a physical striker outside the box in Lacazette, who, when he turns around, is either doesn't run into the box, or when he does run into the box, holds the hand of the defender next to him and has zero movement off the ball. So Arsenal need a striker with better movement and physicality, and I think that the whole thing will come together if we are bold enough to do that. But as you say, Paul, we have too many in numbers, so we have to sell Aubameyang or Lacazette, or both of them is what I would do if at all possible, and get a new striker. Dusan Vlahovic is the one that I think would be perfect for Arsenal, and then trust Martinelli and Balogun to back him up. But I think Manchester City are looking at this guy, and Tottenham and some others, Atletico Madrid, and plays for Fiorentina. Unbelievably, he's like the new Erling Haaland or Ibrahimovic, huge, big monster guy scoring goals for fun. He's going to be the next big thing. So 21 years of age.
Wow. Speaking of next big things, the next big thing at Chelsea is a big thing that they had and got rid of. It was interesting to see Romelu Lukaku going back. I read that on Transfer Market because, like I said, I've really been out of it. I saw that and I was like, I'm in the wrong year. I'm sure it's gone back to 2012 or something. And when I saw that they'd spent that much money on bringing him back, do you think he's going to be more effective for Chelsea? Obviously, we're playing him just if all works out for them. We're going to be facing them this weekend. Do you think he has become a lethal player, or do you think he'll still struggle in the Premier League like he did? Merv, you want to take that?
Um, being an Arsenal fan, obviously, my judgment is coloured by the fact that I don't want him to succeed in the Premier League. I think
No,
that
absolutely. That's a given.
yeah. Tuchel, I think, or Tuchel, however you pronounce it, I think knows what he's doing. So he's identified him for a specific reason, I would think. And we'll probably find out. Hopefully, Sunday is too soon, but we'll find out over the coming weeks. Maybe what that is. I mean, the immediate reaction as a football fan of many years standing on the terraces is that, look, he's played for Everton, he's played for Manchester United, he's played for Chelsea. It's kind of, why is it going to be any different now? We've got, English defences, particularly in the top half of the Premier League, are quite strong. But there must be a reason why they've parted with 100 million. And there must be something in his game that they think he now does differently, or he can be used differently. So I think that they need a finisher. I think Chelsea create a number of chances that don't get finished, and Tuchel didn't rate Abraham. I mean, I thought Abraham would have been a good fit for Arsenal, but Vajovic as well.
Roma,
I understand.
Right?
He has, yes. Roma for 34 million. Roma, who didn't have enough money to sign Xhaka for 13 million, but never mind.
I mean, when you look at the figures, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt there quickly because another player who's kind of obviously in the Chelsea Arsenal realm, who we won't be facing this weekend, who is the guy that we do need in the center of the box for all the crosses that Tierney puts to no one, is Giroud, and I saw that he went for $1 million.
Yeah.
I would have bought him for $1 million. I still think he's got goals in there more than any of our other.
I think. Yeah, I mean, to answer on Lukaku, I think Mike's talking, but he's on mute.
Sorry.
I think on Lukaku, wishful thinking is he'll struggle again, but I'm guessing that. They haven't parted with 100 million because they don't have a plan.
Mike, you were talking? Is there something you want to say about, was it Giroud or was it Lukaku either?
Yeah, just real quick. Yeah, sorry. Lukaku, I think, is fantastic. I think he's in his prime right now, and I think he's going to rip it up, and probably starting with us, unfortunately, on Sunday. Hopefully not, but I think he'll probably end up being the top scorer. Giroud would have been a great short-term idea if, not really, again, what I would do, but if we're going to play this way, makes a whole lot more sense having Olivier Giroud in the box. So, again, if I'm trying to finalise Arsenal's plans and have to accept that this is how the coach wants to play and consistently give the ball to Tierney to put high and low crosses in, you need somebody who's the best one-touch finisher in Europe, probably, to be fair to him, and pretty decent in the air. So he would be a great option. I wouldn't play the way Arteta plays, though, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, Lukaku's been ripping it up for Belgium and he was at Inter, right? And Giroud, I saw him still making appearances for France and scoring and stuff. So, yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, so my point was more that seeing Giroud went for $1 million, I mean, I would have been up in arms, about that. But I like the player. There were other big transfers that were supposed to happen, and I've got jet lag fog and stuff. But do you want to just touch on what you think are the new transfers, not just for Arsenal, but into the Premier League that are going to stir things up and make things exciting? Merv, are there any that particularly caught your eye? I mean, there was always so much talk about Mbappe and Sancho and all these other players. Did the Premier League get new talent apart from Lukaku's old talent that excites
Mbappe
you?
hasn't arrived.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so
I'm hoping Arsenal might find the money for him, but I don't think so.
He'd be a good signing.
Yeah. I think that I think there's a lot still to be done. I think, United, with Sancho and Varane, are probably done what they going to do. I think City clearly want a striker. It's going to be Kane or maybe, as of today, Lewandowski. I say as of today, not because they put in a bid, but because the talk is that he wants to leave Bayern. So I'm guessing that Grealish, I think might be, and it's not wishful thinking because I think he's a fantastic player, but I'm wondering if Grealish might be the kind of, the extra chocolate you didn't need for the chocolate box. I think there are some interesting ones, and I think that the chances are the successful transfers will be ones that have slipped under the radar. So, I mean, for example, we've got, for us, everybody's going to be looking at Ben White because of the amount of money and stuff, but I think someone like Lokonga will probably turn out to be the best of the signings. I'm not including Ødegaard in that because he's effectively coming back. So I think that I think Lukaku, as I said, I mean, there's a reason they've signed him. Liverpool, I think, possibly have a major signing left in them, but I'm guessing that the last few days of the season, there will be. We'll be doing a pod in about 3 weeks' time, and there'll be at least 3 or 4 big transfers. So never saw that happening.
Right. So. Talking about, I was just thinking about Lokonga and Tavares in our midfield and Ødegaard and Smith Rowe, and we've spoken about this many times on the pod about our need, for our midfielders to contribute to our goal tally, because it's a serious flaw in, firstly, in Arteta's style of play, and just basically as a club and our ability to kind of punch above our weight. We need more goal scorers. What did you think of getting rid of Willock and sending him to Newcastle, considering he seems to be about the only midfielder that we had in our squad that was capable of scoring consistently? Mike?
Yeah, I understood it. I understood that his value was high because of what he did last season. I understood that if he wasn't going to play, it was probably the right thing to do. I think in a perfect world, you keep him and you use him as an impact sub, because he scored half of those goals last season coming off the bench. Yeah, he did. And so, or you play a 4-3-3 because Joe Willock is clearly a third midfielder, isn't he? He's not a number 10. He's definitely not in a 2. He doesn't have the technical qualities, I think, for that. But he is arguably one of the best in the league at being the third midfielder. So I think that Arsenal probably did the right thing, but I think the risk is, as you said, Paul, I think the risk is we don't have goals from our midfield, and he would have been a wonderful option when the play does get broken at the end of the game and we just become desperate and drop the script and just get desperate. I think Joe Willock would have won us quite a few games. So I think it's a shame, but I get it.
Because it seems to me that Joe Willock's kind of late arriving into the box, or like in an Aaron Ramsey-esque kind of way, his ability to pop up and be in the right position is almost kind of the player that you would expect to benefit from the fact that Tierney is often putting in crosses, and he's very good at seeing a cutback or seeing somebody at the back of the box or arriving late and all that kind of stuff. It seems like Willock is that guy that would actually fit, it would be the second wave of attack for Arteta's, his choreographed thing, because we don't have a striker that's there for the first option, but the second option, Joe Willock would have been there every single time, and probably sometime for the first option too. So, Ødegaard never struck me as a goal scoring kind of thing. He seemed to have a bit more of a Mesut Ozil quality about him, happy to assist and pass off. Smith Rowe, I saw an interview with him during the off season when he got the shirt, and he was talking about his main priority was I need to score more goals for this team, which I think is great, because I think he has got it in him. So, and the thing that I liked about Lokonga and Tavares scored that worldie in his first game, in his debut. And I think, Lokonga looked like he was lining up a couple of parties. Still seems to be finding his crosshairs. But at least there is an attempt, to take a shot. Mike, you got something on that?
No. I was just showing you the airplane, the party shot.
Which you were saying, please, can I answer this one?
Yeah.
Anyway,
he hit the crossbar last game of the season, did he not? Or Is that
He's
right?
getting there.
Yeah,
He's getting
I think
closer.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was quite a good
And of
shot.
course, Joe Willock, in his only appearance for Arsenal, did come off the bench in the Chelsea friendly, which I was also at, and actually equalised for us, albeit with no VAR. It wasn't given.
That's true.
I think that ultimately it might be, and I hope I'm not putting too much on Ødegaard's shoulders, but it might be Willock effectively was sacrificed to release some to bring in some money for them to conclude Ødegaard, because I think that given the kind of fees that were being bandied around historically for him, in fact in Madrid signing him at 16 and stuff, to get him for 30 million euros, if that's what it is, sounds a steal. And if he develops the way that throughout his career people have thought he had, then we might be in another one of those phases where we were a couple of years after the Invincibles, where we're losing all our best players, but for big sums.
Well, I mean, I think Willock was, as far as I know, our only sale so far this season, and we've got 3 loans. I think Guendouzi is out. Who the other ones? Mavropanos is on loan.
Saliba.
And Saliba. Those are the 3 that we've got out on loan. We've got an awfully big squad that's going to be needing trimming.
Apparently Torreira is in London, did I read today.
Okay.
So
does that mean
I don't know.
Available for us, or?
I don't think so.
He never played for Arteta, right? He was gone already when Arteta arrived. You know, there was so much excitement about him after the World Cup, and, you know, yeah, it's just disappointing. It's one of those kind of signings that you went, oh, how did that go so wrong? I mean, he scored that amazing goal against Spurs that I'll always love him for. You know, the shirt. You know, he seemed to get it pretty quickly, and I like his aggression.
Yeah.
You know, he's obviously not a very physical guy, but that aggressive quality makes up for it. You know, when you say you need a partner, somebody up, you know, who's going to put a little bit of, physical pressure up in that final third.
For some reason they I mean, we had that run of, was it the 22 game unbeaten run when Emery first joined, and he was great. I remember I was at Fulham where we won the 5-1, was it? And I think it was the first time they sang Torreira to the Vieira tune. But I think to be the defensive midfielder in the Premier League, the physicality wasn't enough. You know, he needed to be bigger. He needed to be more robust. And I think Emery then started playing him more forward as like an 8 or something. And I don't think I don't think the Premier League is for him, although he did give us some great moments.
Yeah. When you talk about that, you know, like the physicality and the size and stuff, N'Golo Kante just always pops into my mind, and I'm like, how I wish that we had that player he's always in the right place at the right time. He doesn't have to be too big and too physical. He can string a pass together. He scores. I mean, yeah. Anyway, that's
Gilberto.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I wish Torreira would be that, because he's obviously skillful and stuff. I just don't think he has the positional awareness and the passing range of those 2 players that we've just mentioned. Okay, so I think we're heading into the last little bit of this pod. Let's have a look at the Chelsea game. We've touched on bits and pieces of it. There's some injuries updated. Aubameyang had COVID. He's back in training. He'll be assessed, so he may be able to start. Lacazette has COVID, but is not available. So obviously he's still in the dog box, the COVID dog box. Runnison, unfortunately, has COVID, is not available. So looks like Leno might have to start. Willian is undergoing protocols, and he's being assessed, so he may be available. But I think he should rest. Party right ankle ligaments, back in training only at the end of August. Nketiah right ankle bruising, training only early September. And Gabriel right knee from the Olympics, and injury picked up then, training later in August. So that's not great news. I mean, Thomas Partey, you know, like half a game in, and it's like, back to the injury thing. It's strange. It's like a different player than the one that everyone thought they got from Atletico, right, Mike? He just had that reputation of being invincible, and he definitely hasn't been that with us.
Well, I think this injury, to be fair to him, wasn't his fault, was it? He was hacked down in a friendly. I think the one that Mervyn was at. So I feel for him. And he's a huge miss. And so we just have to be patient. And I'm excited that Sambi gets to play. I am that he's taken his place and not El Neni. So I think big ask for Sambi on Sunday against Chelsea, but I think he'll still play. I'm just hoping that we can string a little bit more creativity together. But to be fair to Arsenal, in the past, under Arteta, he's vastly improved our chances of being competitive in big games. I think that's a good way to put it. We don't always win them. We've won a decent percentage of them, but we haven't been hammered like we were under Wenger for many, many years. And we haven't. We've always been in those games. I think is my memory of most of all the big games. We're competitive in them. So I'm sort of more looking forward to that than I am the Norwich and the Burnley game coming up, because they're the ones that make me nervous.
I still want to kind of focus on the idea, and it's a number that's passed around like it was last weekend, is that, from Christmas last year, I think we're the second or third highest team still in the league after City, and you kind of want to just remind yourself of that, because sometimes the results and the losses that come against the teams that they come against in the times that they come, sometimes makes it seem more cataclysmic than it actually is when it's a game of it's 38 games. It's a long, hard process. And if we've got that kind of ability to do better against the top six, as we have been doing under Arteta, and if we can just, brush up some of those stupid losses from late starts against, some of the lesser teams, maybe we can keep that going. And if you can do that for a whole season and not just half of one, then we could maybe fight our way back into the top 6-5. So Merv, four would be great. I still do see this as a team, kind of in progress. I work in progress, and we can be impatient, but Mike mentioned earlier that with the players that we've managed to sign and that we've kept, and the ones that the Tierney's and the Sakas that have extended contracts and stuff. I think with all of those players, we're looking at I think if we can keep them all, in 3 or 4 years' time, we're looking at a pretty lethal team. And if they play together for that long, it's, heaven help our opposition. Merv, do you want to just give us an idea what you think the lineup will be against Chelsea?
I know what I'd like it to be. Okay. I think he may go.
What you'd like it to be? Let's do that first. What
would
you like?
Hopefully we sign Ødegaard in time. So I would like to see Smith Rowe, Ødegaard, and Saka play together, with possibly Aubameyang as the striker up front. Or I know he doesn't press. I think that we might, some of the passes, particularly if Ødegaard's there, we might get some different balls in that he might be able to convert. I hope he doesn't pick El Neni. I want to see Lokonga again. I don't know about the defence. I mean, the right back thing is really concerning at the moment. So whether he goes for
is that what you play? Sorry.
Well, yes. I mean, I think I would. Although having said that, I have seen people, a number think that we might go with 3 at the back, with White and Mari, I suppose. Tierney. Tierney, White, and Chambers or Holding. I don't know. It depends how they're going to tackle Lukaku and how they expect them to line up. But I just, the first game at the Emirates, the first fullish crowd at the Emirates for some time. Hopefully it's an attacking performance. I'm confident we won't lose, but I'm not overly confident we'll win.
Okay.
Until they hacked Partey in the friendly because he actually was dominating the game for the first half hour. We were looking quite good, so I'm confident that we'll see a better performance than against Brentford.
Mike, what would be your wishful lineup?
Well, I think that to stay 4-2-3-1 is what I would like to do, and I'd love for Odegaard to play. I think that he's got a lot to prove to the people at Real Madrid, if nothing else, and I think that he'd be highly motivated with Smith Rowe on the left, Xhaka on the right, and Martinelli at centre forward is what I would do. I'm over the whole Aubameyang Lacazette thing, regardless if they're fit or not. Lokonga and Xhaka in the middle with the same back four, because that's what's available. I think right now Chambers is the best of the bunch, but I am concerned about Lukaku and Conte's back. He didn't play for them last weekend, so that's not good either, because he's obviously a game changer, as we said, and N'Golo Kante. So I think Chelsea will probably do it. I think they'll probably beat us 3-1. Love to think that my earlier statement about us being competitive means that we can be competitive in this one, but I'm just not sure with the players we've got available without Partey and probably without Odegaard and without a firing forward line. I think it's just a big ask to believe that Arsenal aren't going to, lose to Chelsea. But we'll see. Fingers crossed.
So I think both those selections are pretty much what I'd go for. If there was going to be three at the back, Holding is the kind of person who in big games like this against people like Lukaku has kind of always done well, like when Diego Costa, like some of those kind of lethal players, he's kind of up for it. He's got the kind of aggression, I think, sometimes that really puts those guys off their stride. And I'm hoping that, if it is Ben White and Murray and stuff, that they've got that aggression that like a centre half needs to have. So I'm not sure. That's probably the only question mark that I'd have over that. Then, so down to predictions. Merv, you say we're not going to lose. You're hoping we'll win. Mike, you don't seem as hopeful. I mean, we got the double over them last season, but that was with Lampard. I think Tuchel is Tuchel is a different prospect altogether. But hey, who knows?
Yeah, I think Chelsea are going to do it 3-1. I think it'll be done late in the day. But I'm going to have to run here, chap. So I'll have to leave you with that sad note that I think it's going to be a 1-3. But good to be on. Good to see you guys.
Cool. Well, it's great having you.
Good to see you, Mike.
I think
I'm going to go. I was
soon.
about to say I'm going to go for 2-2.
Okay. Well, there you go, Move. That's you and me, and same prediction. That's pretty good. That's 48 minutes. It's been a fun chat and good catching up with you. Thanks for joining us.
You too.
And
my pleasure.
Let's hope that we're wrong on. Was it Sunday or Saturday? I don't even know what day it is.
It's Sunday.
Let's hope I hope we're wrong. I hope we're wrong, and Arsenal win.
And it's 3-1 and not 1-3.
Exactly. Then we can laugh at Mike next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you, and to all of you receiving this on Friday morning, I hope it's good to have the pub back. We'll find a new form and a new time slot. I think it looks like it might remain Friday mornings, and we may not be doing the post-match pubcast since everyone will be in actual pubs and not available to do it. And let's hope that situation holds and that COVID finally becomes something that we look at in our rearview mirror. Anyway, so thanks again to all of you for joining us, and it was a pleasure having you here at the pub up the Arsenal. Cheers.